Greetings, my brothers and sisters. I'm Father Joe, and you're in tune to Daddy Marcus TV. I'm gonna read for you today chapter 5 of My Life and Ethiopia's Progress, Volume 2. It's entitled Our Life at Bath and the Chapel We Set Up at the Fairfield Residence. I'm doing this because I've recently been visiting Fairfield House, and I drew a lot of energy from the place. I was excited to actually go there, visit the house. I even met several persons one person in particular who gave me, Ras Abakok, who gave me a history of the place that is not like common knowledge. However, with my enjoyment and excitement, there was also disappointment as well. As a member of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, I was disappointed to only see the markings of the chapel His Majesty had built on the residence, because the actual building was torn down. I'm aware that the tablet of Medani Alem, the Savior of the world, was actually taken back to Ethiopia by Empress Menen, but it's holy ground, and I thought the building would have still remained, it would have been such a humbling experience to actually go into a building that His Majesty actually prayed in, as part of his daily ritual, when at a time in his life when he was down and out, basically, that term, Western term, but obviously hardships abounded. And I'm of the conviction that it's in this chapel that the work was initiated for the salvation of the world, actually, So the tablet was aptly named Medani Alem, Savior of the World, and the chapel as a building is not there anymore. Actually, it forms part of someone's garden, Actually, a house was built there and sold to someone. This idea of housings being built on Fairfield grounds is a bit strange, after having read that His Imperial Majesty had donated the house and the property to the city of Bath for the aged and all of these things, and find a private dwelling as part of the grounds, But anyway, that's something else in itself. As I said, in response to the fact that I didn't actually get to see a building of the chapel, and I couldn't actually go into the space that the chapel occupied, was a source of disappointment. And this has driven me to read for you this excerpt of My Life and Ethiopia's Progress, Volume 2, the autobiography of Emperor Haile Selassie I, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So I'm at chapter 5, and the title is Our Life at Bath and the Chapel We Set Up at the Fairfield Residence. It goes. Many people used to visit us at our home called Fairfield. The house had many rooms and was chilly. The view through its front windows always reminded us of the hills of Harar. We never went to the theater or any other place of entertainment. Our only recreation was the time we spent chatting with our children. We stayed awake late in the night reading books and writing the history of our life. The books we read mostly included diplomatic histories and the biographies of patriotic leaders such as Napoleon, Abraham Lincoln, and works about the Christian Church. Our life in Bath was very hard. We had financial problems. The media had reported that we had taken enough money when we left our country, but it was completely untrue. The fact that we were in serious financial trouble in those days was an obvious fact. Hoping that we would soon return to our country with the help of the League of Nations, we took an amount we thought was sufficient for a certain period of time, and even that was soon finished, as we used it to help the exiles. When we first arrived in England, a British film company had invited us to take part in a film called Flight by Night, but we refused. The Texas Centennial Exhibition offered $100,000 if we were prepared to appear in their show for 2 weeks, and an additional $50,000 if the show was extended to a month. Although we were aware that this would have helped us with the problems we were facing then, we did not accept the proposal. A private association headed by an Englishman called Sir Norman Angell was organized to help the Ethiopian exiles and had assisted us greatly by forming a fundraising committee. Even though the aid was insufficient to aid our devastated country, it did help our exiled people. In particular, we remember the $100,000 donation of the British Red Cross Association to our refugees. The money we invested in the British Cable and Wireless Company, hoping to use it when the need arose, and all the money we should have received from different sources was blocked. We asked the Cable and Wireless Company mentioned above for the money we had deposited while we were in our country, but the company refused to pay us back on the pretext that Ethiopia was under Italy's control and the situation remained uncertain. We consequently hired a lawyer and sued the company. The courts made us wait for many months to hear the decision, only to tell us that the money would be given neither to us nor the company, but instead would remain in the hands of the British government until the case between us and Italy was settled. Since we were the ones who sued, we were made to pay all the court fees. We appealed, but the matter remained undecided. Nevertheless, many right-minded Englishmen made contributions to us and our exiles so that we could persevere. In particular, the organization established under the name Abyssinia Society worked hard at fundraising. This organization prepared and sent around a written memorandum to coordinate all those who wanted to help Ethiopia. It stated, "We call the attention of our readers to the fund appeal for the Emperor of Ethiopia set up some weeks earlier. The Emperor is a true Christian and a great man. His patience and pride during times of trial deserve the honor and appreciation of all people. The Emperor is the personification of a heavily oppressed people who trusted the League of Nations and the British government in particular. The Emperor's people were exterminated by the Italians and his country was occupied. Currently, while the Emperor is exhausting himself opposing the occupation, the British government is prepared to renounce the international status of his country because of its interests in Europe. The Emperor's money and income have been plundered by the Italians, and his money in Europe has been exhausted in pursuing a lawsuit. If Italy's claims are recognized, the money will be transferred to the Italian government. The Emperor has a number of former officials who have placed their trust in him. In addition, he has his family with him. In the midst of all these troubles, he faces financial problems. Therefore, in order to keep alive the political interests of his country and to cope with the heavy responsibility of supporting his staff and dependents, he hereby requests his friends in this country to extend their help and encouragement." The Abyssinia Society, by permission of the Emperor, has opened the Ethiopian Emperor's Fund, and those who want to express their sympathy and support by making a contribution can send it to this fund. All gifts should be sent to the Abyssinia Society office and checks made payable to the Ethiopian Emperor's Appeal Fund. That was the end of the statement. Now, the Emperor continues. We use the money contained in this way for our own support and for those of the exiles in London, Jerusalem, and Egypt. We thus, more or less, maintained a meager existence. When we were in Addis Ababa, we had the practice of rising early in the morning at 5 a.m. to go to church for prayer. Since there was no Orthodox church or chapel at Fairfield where we could go and pray to God, the practice was discontinued, although in a time of stress. We should have strengthened our habit of prayer. After suffering a great deal from not having a chapel, we sent, on January 20, 1937, the following letter to Echege Gebre Georgius in Jerusalem. To His Holiness Echege Gebre Georgius, how are you? Thanks be to God, we are all well. So far we have been thinking of you. We, on our side, have the intention to attend the assembly of the League in person if they permit us, but if they do not, we will send our delegation, since this is vital to our objective. Finding it necessary to follow the matter from here, we have decided to stay in England and wait for the judgment of our Creator to resolve Ethiopia's crisis. Until the grace of God permits and bids us farewell to come to Jerusalem, so that we may overcome the problems of worship that we have encountered, and so that our growing children do not go astray from the foundation of our religion, I have sent Abba Hannah to you so that he may return with 1 tablet, 5 monks, the things necessary for the worship services, and a Bible. Discuss the matter with Aleka Germa and have the things sent to us before the beginning of Lent. There might be a need to send priests to those exiled in foreign lands. While awaiting further instructions from us, select monks who are willing to minister the exiles. Accordingly, the monks sent to us from Jerusalem, Abba Gabriel Jesus, Abba Gerebe Mariam, Abba Haile Bruke, and Abba Marcos, arrived in Bath on Miasia 21, that's April 28th, with the tablet of the Savior of the world. The tablet was taken to the prepared gallery on Sunday, Miasia 24, and it was consecrated on Easter Day according to our country's customs. From that time on, we practiced our church's rituals in accordance with our tradition. So that was chapter 5 of My Life in Ethiopia's Progress, volume 2. I hope this was enlightening for you all, as it was for me. I need not say any more. I leave it to your conscience. So I'm Father Joe from Daddy Marcos TV, wishing you God's richest blessings. Blessed love.